Today I want to talk about free speech, censorship, and the Department of Education. I am the writer-creator of Hot Angry Mom. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel and check out our series. Hot Angry Mom is a story about a people-pleasing mom who discovers that anger is her superpower when a video of her epic meltdown goes viral. It was inspired by my real life journey to renegotiate my relationship with anger and to step into a more whole and authentic self. So that series was ranked number 2 in the US and number 5 in the world in the Web Series World Cup in 2023. It was an official selection at over 26 festivals worldwide and won it was nominated for over 50 awards and won 22 awards, including Best Pilot, Best Director, Best Actress, Best Ensemble, and a Representation for Women in Film Awards. So check it out. It is free to watch on our YouTube channel. And what am I doing here? I am going live because I'm actually trying to wake the channel back up. Last year, we released the series on YouTube just after Mother's Day. And I gotta tell you, after putting years into writing and fundraising and hiring people and filming it and editing it and doing the festival circuit, I wanted to share it. I made a big goal to reach 1 million moms and share this series that I think is deeply relatable to many, many people, but particularly to moms who might be dealing with some mom rage. Many of us were taught to suppress our anger because it's unhealthy, destructive, whatever we thought about it, not pleasing or ugly. And what I have learned is that anger is a really healthy part of us. And it's an important part of us that we need to listen to, so that we can be more authentic and whole. It doesn't mean that we should rage out and attack or harm other people, but so many of us cut off parts of ourselves to be more acceptable, to earn love, to belong. And it actually causes a lot of, I think, damage in the world when we cut off parts of ourselves. So hopefully that's interesting to you and you will want to check it out. I'm trying to wake up the channel because I literally poured hundreds of hours last year into building the channel, launching this content, giving it away for free. I hired a marketing team. We have almost 1 million views across the channel, which I am so grateful and excited about. But I'm also surprised because part of my goal was to monetize the channel so that we could create more episodes of Hot Angry Mom. And although we have over 9,400 watch hours, YouTube has not allowed us to monetize our channel. In fact, they've only credited us with about 560 watch hours. And despite reaching out to YouTube and trying to get someone to audit the channel or talk to me, until you are part of the creator studio, it seems like you can't actually get anyone to respond. So I've been doing a lot of work. I've been putting a lot out there, and it hasn't moved forward in the way that I'd like. So I don't have time to go out and spend lots of money and shoot lots of things. And I'm trying this. I'm going live. I'm literally speaking off the top of my head. I'm not preparing in any kind of depth. And for me, that's a little bit terrifying. But it's an experiment. I'm calling it Truth Tuesdays. And there's a bunch of different reasons for it, personally, creatively, and like I said, to get the channel awake again. I guess one of the first things that I want to do is read some quotes that I think are pretty poignant and a bit hilarious. So Liz Plank has a Substack called lizplank.substack.com. You can read her musings on the world. She also has an Instagram called Feministabulous, like Feminist Fabulous, but anyway, I follow her on Instagram and I really enjoy her content. And her quote, or my quote of the day, is, "A felon is president. Do whatever you want." And the reason I appreciate that is because I actually censor myself a lot, right? Like I post something on Facebook and a bunch of people start getting heated and attacking. I just kind of want to delete and block those people and move on with my life rather than engage. And I realize things like that I actually start to get what they want, which is just getting smaller and more quiet. I'm always working really hard to be prepared before I try anything new. So this is me trying something new imperfectly in public, and actually you can see, ooh, tears going up a little bit because it's terrifying for me. And I actually want to read this next quote and talk a little bit about why. So this is also from Liz. This is from her Instagram. And she's talking about something that happened very recently in the news. She says, I think this moment, albeit terrifying, should give all of us permission to do something I've been thinking about for a while. Soft launch our nihilistic girl era. Soft launch our nihilistic girl era. It's a time of radical detachment, strategic delusion, and refusing to feel shame for things that powerful, incompetent men don't even register as mistakes. She's particularly referencing Pete Hegseth's recent text chain announcing war plans to the head, or maybe the editor of The Atlantic, which is one of the few publications I actually pay for the news because I really love the quality of the articles that they put out. And so why I pulled that quote, why I'm talking to you about it is actually about shame. So last week I did my first ever live, and it was about 20 minutes long. And I loosely knew that I wanted to talk about cuts to the Department of Education as a student who's received a Pell Grant, as a person who was a DEI affirmative action student included in a community where I benefited greatly. And I think I've given a lot to the world in return for that education. But also as a mother who has a student who had an IEP, and just sort of navigating the system of getting appropriate services so that your child can learn in the way that best fits your child, so that they will have opportunities to grow up and do hopefully whatever their passions align with, and actually have those skills and have entry into those workforces. And then also as a teaching artist, an educator, a person who is a voice coach, but also goes into schools and shares my passion for theater and stories and writing with students all over New York City. So I went live and I talked about it, but I also cried a little bit, which it's not that I mind crying. I'm an actor. Like, I'm now really comfortable with all the feelings in my body, and I don't mind vulnerability to some extent, but it was the being unprepared and talking for 20 minutes and going, what is the point? Why would anyone listen to this? And why would anyone care? And just having this overwhelming shame that I had dared show up and speak unprepared with whatever I was thinking and feeling, and then put that out there. I literally had to get in bed and eat food after I shared it. And then a little bit later, I shared the video with two dear friends who were also associate producers on Hot Angry Mom. Thank you, Nora and La Monique. And I asked them to just take a look and tell me what they thought, so that I could learn to do more, but maybe also should I delete it and not share it with anyone. And Nora was concerned for me because she thought, well, it's a little bit political, and I'm worried that you'll open yourself up for attacks. And I thought about that, and I was like, wow, for speaking what I believe is that education is valuable, and we should all be working hard to make sure that every single child in our country gets a quality education, so that they can access language, so they can access art and poetry and find themselves and find a line of work that is meaningful to them, that they can go out in the world and engage with and serve our entire population. Like, that shouldn't be radical. This is the Hot Angry Mom coming out. Like, oh my God. It shouldn't be radical. I mean, only 11 people saw it. Thank you for the 2 people that gave me likes. If you see this and you like it, please like it. I appreciate it. Give me comments. And so Nora was concerned that when I got sad, people would feel sad for me, and that might be really vulnerable, and just wanted me to take 2 days before I made it public and think about that, and think about if I wanted to be political or if I just wanted to promote the art that we have all created together and do what I originally said was just keep the channel alive. So that I can hopefully get an interaction with YouTube and, you know, keep the audience going. Because I've had audience members say, hey, when are you posting your next video? This is what I'm able to do with the capacity that I have at the moment. And then I talked to La Monique, and La Monique was like, this is great. There's all these story clips. You should send them to all these people, like at the Department of Education, the governor's office. And I love her enthusiasm. We had both had some wine by then. So I don't know, you know, 11 people watched it. So it's not exactly going viral. And I don't exactly have, you know, a large following for my feed at the moment. But all the more reason to give myself permission to show up and not give a fuck. So today, not wearing makeup, didn't spend a whole bunch of time, didn't get as nervous just to press the button, because at least I knew how to press it and get it horizontal this time, and then I had to type words in, so the tech part is a little bit easier. But that's part of education, right? Making mistakes. Being allowed to make mistakes, being received with love, and having corrections. I think there's a book called Loving Corrections. Oh my gosh, I'm totally blanking on the author right now. But just that idea that, like, you can't learn if you don't make mistakes. You actually can never win if you don't fail a whole lot, right? To make anything, it has to get messy. And we're such an image conscious culture. And me too, like, I don't want to put out something that somebody's going to watch and be like, she's stupid, or like, that wasn't polished, or what is she doing? Why is she, like, all of the ideas that other people could have. I'm not in control of them. And yet I want to be, right? I want to be liked. I want to be appreciated. I want the art that I've made to be valued. We all want that. Okay. The feelings are strong in me. We all want to be seen. We all want to be valued. We all want to, are the things that we make to be received. And so just even putting myself out like this is kind of terrifying. But what I'm hoping with this nihilistic girl era is that by practicing, it will be less scary for me. That when I know someone hates what I have to say and that they're going to get angry with me in response, but if I believe it, and if it is important to me, that I don't shrink back, that I stay on my spine and I speak what I believe. And I'm again referencing my friend Cheney, who was like, there's a difference between confrontational and confronting, right? If an injustice has occurred, if something is not fair, if I'm not being heard, to confront the other person and to make clear what I believe, what is fair, what I need. There's nothing wrong with that. In fact, it's authentic and it's generous and it's more loving than the kind of behavior that I was raised to do, which is people pleasing. I'm going to be nice. I'm going to smile at you. I'm going to adjust myself so that you like who I am. And then slowly you're betraying yourself until at some point you hate yourself, until you're filled with rage because you're not living your own life that is aligned with what's inside of you. You're living your life just to belong to other people. And if the people around you require you to adjust who you are so they can tolerate you, to give you a sense of belonging, they're not your people. And so I'm very grateful at this age and stage of my life to have a lot of people that are my people. And that wouldn't judge me for trying this and are like, you're brave, maybe a little nuts, but super brave for giving this a go. So, okay, great. So those were the quotes that I thought were super funny. I told you a little bit, last week's Department of Ed Live felt super scary. And one last thing I wanted to say about that was that I felt like I needed a greater purpose than showing up for myself to share what I think. I felt like I needed a call to action. I needed to have more information. I needed to be an expert before I could dare open my fucking mouth. So this week I brought out some resources from an organizing group called Indivisible that I am part of, that you can join for free. You'll get a lot of information. You can join actions that align with what you believe and what you care about, and they make it easy, they make it digestible. And so I'll share some of those resources with you at the end. But first, I'm going to talk a little bit about my week, and one of the highlights of my week was going to see this play. I don't know if you could see that. The play is called Tiny Beautiful Things. It's based on the book by Cheryl Strayed. It is actually one of my favorite books. It is a book full of wisdom and beauty and deep humanity. And we need that more than anything else in the world right now. And it was adapted for the stage by Nia Vardalos. I hope I'm pronouncing your name right. Sorry, Nia. In a beautiful, beautiful stage production. And it was directed by Kevin R. Free. And my friend Mick Hilgers, I hope that's how you pronounce your last name, was in it. So I traveled over to New Jersey. I'm Bronx based, to go see my friend in this production. And the production closed Sunday, so this particular production is no longer available, but I just want to tell you about the experience of it, because this is why I'm an actor. This is why I love theater, is for shows like this. I walked in, and even though it's only maybe 100-seat theater, maybe there was 45 people there. The show should have been sold out. It was that good. And a woman and her friend kind of came in right towards the end and sat next to me. And I noticed the woman was really like holding herself kind of tight, maybe so she wouldn't like spill over to me, maybe who knows why, but I felt like there was like a tension, and we weren't connected. We didn't know each other. And so, we didn't really exchange any connection. Like the people were all coming into the theater as separate entities, totally non-connected. And then as you watch the show, the character decides to do an advice column where she gives advice. But the way that she does it is by telling stories from her real life experience and sharing the wisdom that she has learned with the various people who are writing in. And it's an ensemble show that they did a particularly beautiful job making it an ensemble show. And you hear all of these letters from such a broad spectrum of humanity dealing with all kinds of issues that are so deeply human that you can't help but relate and get pulled in and just deeply moved by what it is to be human and what we all go through. And at some point in the show, I'm sobbing, surprise, surprise. I'm having to like try to quietly get out my tissue without disturbing all the other people. And then I had a moment in between scenes, like I was literally snot is coming down my face, and I'm trying to like dab it but not blow my nose because I don't want to like make a big noise in the theater and distract the show and blah, blah, blah. And then there was a moment where everyone was moving in music, and I was like, Karr! And it was so loud that the ladies next to me started laughing, and we sort of smiled at each other, and other people looked over, and we all sort of like acknowledged the humanity of each other. And then as we went deeper in, like I'm like shaking, crying towards the end. And when it was all over, the woman put her hand on me and she's like, "Are you okay?" And I laughed, and I was like, "Yeah, I am. It's just the world needs this right now. It needs humans to come together in space and share a collective experience. Community effervescence." Chris Bay's clown teacher recently shared that phrase with me, and I love it. Another time, I'll tell you about Chris's clown class. It's awesome. But we were having this collective experience, and it was making me appreciate how beautiful humans are. And when we get on YouTube or get on the internet these days, everyone seems horrible. Like really bad, terrible people that you want to punch in the face, right? You're just like, who let you live? Who was your parent? Like, why did you become such a horrible, hateful human? And it reminded me that I recently did a tour of the Midwest where it was mad cold with a touring theater production. And Lois Lowry wrote The Giver. That was the show, a book that's banned in lots of places. Crazy, that's part of the whole censorship theme that I'm going to get to eventually and starting to talk a little bit about. I think that I had an expectation that I was going into these red states and that I'd be meeting with people that were not open to some of the messages in the book, which is literally just the value of memory, of history, of individual and collective story to give us wisdom, to help inform and shape the lives that we are creating. It is about an authoritarian sort of organization of society under the guise of being a utopia, and how many freedoms are eliminated under the guise of making a perfect world. And I think what I'm trying to say is that everyone I met was lovely. They were lovely, beautiful, wonderful people. And I don't know if we agree and share all of the same politics, but whatever ideas I had about who they or the other aren't correct. Like everyone, not everyone, many people are deeply human and deeply care. And when we connect and meet with each other, we can't help but see each other's humanity. Um, and that is what theater is for. That is what education is for. Literally, like all of these books that are banned across the country, like it's fine if you don't want your kid to read something for whatever personal reason, like then don't let your kid read something. But to ban it so that no kids can read it, so that classes can't study books, like they're books, right? It's literally windows into someone else's perspective and imagination. The internet is full of trash. Kids have that. Why would you ever want to stop them from reading anything? Why? So they can't make up their own mind? Like, come on, like, ugh. Anyway. So, tiny beautiful things, super, super beautiful. We need more in-person connection, so go see theater, go do things that bring community about. And I also have a Substack called Truly, Madly, Deeply. You're welcome to follow it. And there's this beautiful poem that I'm about to share. I haven't published this Substack yet. Because I went to Bali over the holidays and just had an incredible experience and remembered some deeply profound things that I think are really important for living in the world right now. And so I'm going to read this poem, and please forgive me, I may mispronounce a few words. In Lak'ech, I believe that's Mayan, and I may be mispronouncing it. In Lak'ech, tu eres mi otro yo. You are my other me. Si te hago daño a ti, if I do harm to you, me hago daño a mí mismo, I do harm to myself. Si te amo y respeto, if I love and respect you, me amo y respeto yo, I love and respect myself. This is a poem by Luis Valdez. You are my other me. This is such a beautiful poem. Do you see anything wrong with this? Does this seem like a controversial thing that you should keep out of schools? I hope not. It is in both English and in Spanish, so I apologize to my Spanish speakers who listen to me probably butcher those words, but hopefully you appreciate the intent in which I offer it. And what's interesting about this is a poem. This is one of the things that have been banned. Now, this article is not new. I'm gonna have to put on my glasses to be able to read it to you. And I'll reread the poem in it. But it's to the point of like why we need public education, why we need to be investing in education, why whatever these weird culture wars that are being created by people who are like trying to manipulate us for their own political power ends, but which ultimately don't serve any of us, why it's bullshit. So here we go. Arizona education officials say it's illegal to recite this poem in school. This was in 2015. This is from the Huffington Post. Roque Planas wrote the article, and it's 1/13/2015. That was the date that it was published. So I know it seems old, but clearly these are big issues still impacting the way that people are voting, what they're talking about, how we're treating schools, how we value education, how it's been weaponized literally to turn us against each other, and then slowly is actually being taken away from us, and we need it. We need to collectively come together to learn together. All right, y'all know. Okay, so here we go. The outgoing head of Arizona's education department caught national attention earlier this month when, on his last day in office, he issued a letter saying Tuscan's public schools are illegally promoting ethnic solidarity and the overthrow of the U.S. government by teaching Mexican history and hip-hop. The overthrow of the government by teaching Mexican history and hip-hop. Okay. What received less attention is the letter's citation of a poem penned by Chicano playwright Luis Valdez that aims to instill ideas of empathy and integrity. Good moral qualities that we want for all our children. Although I'm not even going to get started on the whole toxic empathy bullshit. If you believe that, I do want to punch you in the face because that's fucking insane. It's insane. It's oh my God, how can you turn a good thing into a bad thing and then get people to eat that shit? I don't know. This is the angry mom. Okay. Teachers of a Mexican American Studies curriculum outlawed by the Arizona legislature used to open their courses with a recitation of the multilingual poem, which Valdez based on philosophical concepts from ancient Maya. I'm going to read you the poem one more time because it's so pretty and it's in the article. This is the thing that is actually being banned and is being called promoting ethnic solidarity and the overthrow of the United States government. Remind you, everybody wants to be seen and understood and have their culture valued and and to recognize other cultures is beautiful. To learn from the ways that other people learn is beautiful. It's called education. It's called humanity. I need to breathe. Okay. All right, here we go. In la quech, tu eres mi otro yo. You are my other me. Se te hago daño a ti. If I do harm to you, me hago daño a mí mismo. I do harm to myself. Si te amo y respeto. If I love and respect you, me amo y respeto yo. I love and respect myself. So this section, recited in some Tuscan classes, is part of a longer poem called Pensamiento Serpentino. Hopefully I'm pronouncing that close to right. Arizona's former superintendent of public instruction, John Huppenthal, cited as a violation of the state's ethnic studies law the requirement that students recite the poem at the beginning of class and understand the concepts behind it. Conservative lawmakers and public officials in Arizona, led by then State Senator Huppenthal and then Superintendent of Public Instruction Tom Horn, passed a law in 2010 aimed at shutting down Mexican American Studies curriculum in Tuscan that opponents say was politicizing students and breeding resentment against whites. Again, we're trying to erase Black history, women's history, pride, any social movement of all kinds of different marginalized groups in the United States. It's not dividing us to be proud of who you are, to have a voice. It's literally trying to silence people and not let you be who you authentically are, not let the divine spirit that's in you come through. And that to me is sacrilegious. That to me is morally reprehensive. Okay. According to Huppenthal, I think that what's going on in those classrooms was just offensive. A state commission audit in 2011 recommended expanding the courses. A study published last month in the American Educational Research Journal showed that students who took prohibited courses performed better on state tests and graduated at higher rates. Under pressure from state officials, the Tuscan School Board shut down the controversial courses in January of 2011. They shut down the courses for the recitation of a beautiful poem about our empathy and integrity and our connection. How is seeing yourself in someone else? How is witnessing their humanity? How is that breeding some type of solidarity or some kind of, we're gonna bring the white people down? As a white person, I have to say, I don't feel threatened. I'm not threatened. And if you're threatened, that says a lot about your character. It says you're a punk. I'm getting a little spicy here. You're a punk and you're scared. And you don't want people who don't think and look exactly like you to have space, to be able to be educated, to be able to work. What? To take some of your power? What? To share in the resources of this country that they are building, that they are contributing to? It's thinking that some people are better than other people and deserve more. Okay, I know. Oh, my face when I did that. That was so horrific looking. Okay, where was I at? I can't see without my glasses. Yeah, thanks, middle age. Okay, Huppenthal's letter from earlier this month once again found the state in violation, this time for a recently developed culturally relevant curriculum that teachers in La Quech, as well as Mexican history, Rage Against the Machine lyrics, and a KRS-One essay. Go check out KRS-One. The elements elements of hip hop are dope. Hip hop is poetry. It was born here in the Bronx where I am. It was kids literally finding and using their voices and speaking to their experiences in their world, where very wealthy people had built the Cross Bronx Expressway, cutting up the neighborhoods. Jobs ended up going to New Jersey. Communities were divided and property values fell. And then landlords set their buildings on fire in order to get the insurance money. The Bronx was literally burning. And out of that, babies made art. That is what hip hop is. That is the origins of hip hop. And that is American. That is my community. And that is beautiful. I mean, I wasn't here making hip hop, clearly. It's something to be celebrated. It's something beautiful about America. Like, come on. Wow. Somebody, please, if you actually believe that this is controversial, that this is somehow harming, can you please write me an email, write me some messages, just help me understand. Please do it respectfully, human to human, but help me understand what is the thinking behind this kind of censorship. When, Twitter and that whole world is like, we don't want to censor anyone. So people that actually speak hate, like white nationalists who are literally saying racist things, we don't want to censor them. They get to believe it. White people have had to think about what they, feel and talk about long enough. Like, we don't want to have to limit ourselves or be conscious of anyone else or their feelings or their rights. Fuck that. That's what seems to be liberation for people who have those ideas. And maybe I'm wrong. So please let me know if I'm wrong. I would appreciate it. I'm open to education. I'm open to new ideas. But send me an article. Send me your individual thoughts. Okay. So the incoming head of Arizona's education department, Diane Douglas, also a Republican, has also said that Tuscan's culturally relevant courses violate ethnic studies law. She has said she'll work with the district's superintendent, H.T. Sanchez, to resolve the dispute by March. If the Arizona Education Department finds that Tuscan remains in violation by March, the state will cut off 10% of the district's funding. The 3-judge panel at the 9th U.S. Circuit Court of Appeals heard oral arguments in a lawsuit against Arizona's ethnic studies law brought by former students of the Mexican American Studies class. Don't you love when kids get involved? When they have developed a voice and a point of view and they're passionate and then they begin to look, how does government work? How does my voice work? How can I get involved to make some meaningful change? That is beautiful education. That is what education is for, so that we can be critical thinkers. It's not to indoctrinate anyone into one particular way of thinking. It's literally to give people the ability to think for themselves, to grow in their understanding of other people and of our entire world as global citizens. Because if you understand that you are my other me, you understand that it's not America first. It's an entire global country, and that every single person on this planet, every single animal and life force, plant and so forth, we're all one. We're part of the same organism. We're all part of the divine flow of God, whatever that is. We're one. So when you hurt someone else, you're hurting yourself, right? That's just so fundamental. And to all my Christians out there, that's fundamental to Christianity. Oh my God, don't. All right, anyway. Am I censoring myself to pull back in? I think I'm just trying to breathe and get through this because, wow, I've already been speaking my face off for 33 minutes. And I had a whole bunch more I want to share. So here we go. So when this teacher's ethnic studies classes were banned, his students took to the district court and they won. Curtis Acosta's classes in Mexican American Studies gave kids pride in their heritage until the Arizona legislature canceled them. That's when his students became activists and some real life lessons began. The Mexican American Studies program in Tuscan, Arizona, which began in 1998, as just a few courses, grew to serving 43 classes, serving 1,500 students in 6 high schools, with similar programs in middle and elementary school. So this is why they want to cut the Department of Education. They don't want everyone to have education. They don't want everyone to have multicultural education, where you actually can see the history of people that have some of your shared experience projected. They want to whitewash and have one particular kind of narrative that we all have to buy in. That's why they're erasing on governmental websites stories of the contributions of women veterans, of queer people, of brown people. Like the erasing of history, the beginning of erasing of identities. It's the beginning of dehumanizing us, right? So that when certain groups are being slaughtered, we won't speak up. We won't even notice. In fact, we'll be busy buying shit off Amazon and watching shit on Netflix and just trying to stay safe in our own little bubble. And also, I've heard, and I don't know if this is true, this might just be internet garbage, but with all of the people being detained by ICE who are immigrants, green card holders, people with visas, etc., I understand that there are American citizens who are being detained at airports and that their phones are being searched, and that if they subscribe to our current if they say things that are opposed to our current administration, that they are being detained, and that they're facing different kinds of bullying and not being allowed. I actually don't have enough details, so I don't really want to talk about it. Just that it's like entered my zeitgeist. So I am curious if people are having these experiences, like share about them, write about them. I want to know what they are. I also don't want to spread a bunch of banana malarkey stuff from the internet, but there's a lot going on that is limiting free speech. It is absolute censorship of our individual freedoms. And I'm speaking right now because I don't want to be too afraid to speak, because I want to be comfortable, because I'm worried, oh, maybe I'll lose my job if I have an opinion and share it on the internet. Maybe if I travel out of the country, I won't be allowed back in, or I'll be disappeared into a detention center. Like, that kind of fear bullshit is swirling around. You know, and if it's bullshit, then the administration should speak up and say, I hear that people believe this. This is scary. This is why this isn't true. But they're not, because it's not, because they don't give a fuck. All right. I don't even know where I was now. All right. MAS, the Mexican American Studies, was founded with the aim of reversing some disturbing academic trends for Chicano students in Tuscan. It worked. In 2011, the high school dropout rate for MAS students in Tuscan was 2.5%, as opposed to 56% for Latino students nationally. A study by Tuscan United School District, TUSD, found that 98% of MAS students reported they did homework, and 66% went on to college. The program was widely regarded as helping Latino youth feel empowered and achieve their full academic and human potential. Immigration and cultural diversity are particularly controversial in Arizona. A politically motivated campaign against the MAS program culminated in a 2010 law banning Arizona state schools from teaching ethnic studies classes, described in the law as courses that advocate the overthrow of the United States government and ethnic solidarity instead of the treatment of pupils as individuals. Eventually, the school district had to stop offering MAS or lose $15 million in annual state aid. Teachers, parents, and students filed a legal challenge to the law and lost the case. They appealed that ruling, and 3 years after the ban, in July 2013, a federal court ordered TUSD to reinstate high school Mexican American Studies and add African American Studies. The courses are now known as culturally relevant classes. The documentary, Precious Knowledge, tells the story of the high school seniors. Oh, I have to go find it. Okay, it's called Precious Knowledge. I'm not sure where you find it, but if I find out, I'll let you know. Tells the story of high school seniors who became activists to save Tuscan's ethnic studies classes. Among other teachers, the film features Curtis Acosta, a leader in developing Tuscan's MAS program. He talked to Yes Education outreach manager Ying Fong about being an activist teacher and his current role as a national advocate for rehumanizing education. Okay, so the poem is here again. I won't read it to you for a third time. All right, this is the last thing. I'm going to read the rest of this, and then I'm just going to give you the Indivisible website and maybe come back next week and talk more about that. My friend Nora assures me that a video this long on live is totally acceptable. In fact, it's sometimes preferred, but you know, I don't know. Okay. Okay. So Ying Fong, take me inside your classroom. What were your Mexican American Studies classes like on the first day of school? Curtis Acosta. On the first day, you walk into a very sterile room filled with unbelievably vibrant young people. But I think that teachers sometimes put walls up and they're afraid to get close to students, or they're afraid to give up the hierarchical power. We should be able to look at students and see ourselves, not infantilize them and think they're so young and I know so much, or it's your job and I'm your boss. None of those paradigms should be in a person's mind as a teacher. You should see your job as cultivating this group of folks into moving forward. The first day, I would say the whole in la crèche thing, but I wouldn't explain it to them. I would just do it. I would clap and recite in la crèche and look in their eyes. Ooh, I might borrow this. I'm starting a new residency next week and I might do this. Sometimes I would clap by myself and the little chicanitas would feel sorry for me. Oh, look at that old man clapping. Let's clap with him. It's true, they would do that, and I love them for it. When our students come in, they're too cool or hard, and that's because they've been hurt. They're injured. They don't always do bad things, schools, but they have. These are institutions, and people have to survive in them. That first day, I wanted to let them know that this class is different. The first day should be indicative of the amazement of the entire time. Some days you're going to write an essay in class, but you're going to have a context where rigorous work is fun. Paulo Freire talks about how learning should never be painful. It should be joyous. And if you're getting it right, the students should have that perspective by the end of their time with you. Fong, what do you mean when you refer to your students learning to know themselves? How did that relate to the literature curriculum? Acosta, I use the term, let's see if I can do this, Quetzalcoatl, or precious and beautiful knowledge in literature class. I love that. Okay, someone respond to me and tell me how to pronounce that. Like make me a little audio video, or I just can ask a friend or go on the interwebs. Quetzalcoatl. I'll have my students next week. Some of them might be able to teach me this. Great. Precious and beautiful knowledge in my literature class. It's the idea of examining our lived experiences. The beginning of my class would always be about self-reflection. Who are you? Where are you from? Who is your family? What is your family about? I wouldn't ask these questions, the assignments would. Sometimes students would write an annotated bibliography about themselves. Sometimes the assignment would be a personal narrative about how they learned to read and write. Sometimes it would be a cultural autobiography or memoir. Tell me about how you learned who you are as far as identity. In my senior class, we studied multi-ethnic voices, multi-identity, Shakespeare, which I also teach. One thing those voices all had in common is that they were counter-narratives. I tried to find themes of silenced voices and getting the narrative out there. There were some Latino voices, but not to the exclusion of everything else. When you start with an indigenous I'm going to say the wrong word. I know the word. Epidemiology. Oh no. Because I feel like I'm going to say the epistemology. That's not how you say it. All right, I'm embarrassed, but that's fine. I'll look it up later. In grace to make mistakes in public, it's fine. In la catch, tu eres mi otro yo. You are my other me. You start rehumanizing the classroom space, and you start rehumanizing school. Fong. So why did you resign from your teaching job after the ban on ethnic studies? Acosta. I couldn't do the work anymore. I literally couldn't. It was like somebody telling me to go dig a ditch. Okay, great. I'll have a sweet backhoe. It'll be the greatest ditch you've ever seen, and it'll be a quality you can't imagine, and I'll be done in 5 minutes. And they're like, here, have a spoon. I gave it a shot, and it was painful in every sense. They took away everything. We were banned from our own curriculum, our intellect, our own selves. It was dehumanizing. Fong, what did you do after you resigned? Acosta, I got the idea to do a freedom school from the civil and immigration rights movement in Atlanta. I started with a group of 10 students at the youth center, small enough so that I could ask similar questions to those I was going to ask in my research, my academic research. One day, the students were talking about how they perceived activism after the ban on MAS. I asked, how does your class affect your activism? One of the students, Esperanza, said, well, it's a banned course and we're going to school on Sundays. So that's activism, Mr. Acosta. Oh, she's so smart. Sorry, that made me feel the things. You're going to go to school on Sunday. You know, and that's a teenager. So, you know, if you have a teenager, if you ever had a teenager, been a teenager, you're around teenagers. Yeah. Okay, wait. Ooh, okay. All right, Fong. How does it feel in the schools in your community after the long, hard-fought battle for Mexican American studies? Acosta. They call the new classes cultural relevancy. There's still a bunch of like-minded teachers in the classroom. We, activist teachers, pushed our state so far in rehumanizing education that once we were gone, there was this vacuum that created a lot more freedom for those folks. But are they taking it to the street, to the legislature? Are they challenging those bullies that came after us? That's the piece that's missing. Fong, do you see your defense of MAS as part of a larger effort? Acosta, I think we can learn a lot from Arizona because they're divesting from education so badly. We're always at the bottom in teachers' salaries, per pupil spending, and performance. More charter schools per capita than anywhere else. It's the Wild West for education right now. I think they're experimenting with killing public education. At my former school right now, in my district, it's about 65% Latino. 5 years from now, it's going to be 80%. They're just going to leave this giant defunded school district filled with brown kids. Fend for yourself. We better be ready to respond. Fong, I guess the we has to be defined. What can we, parents, communities, teachers do? How do we find the energy to take action? Acosta, people need to understand this has been happening for years. This is what's happening in Georgia, in Alabama, in Arizona. And it's happening in a lot of other places. If we share knowledge, resources, and information, we can have a national response locally. We're right back to the civil rights movement. We're right back to the farm workers movement for my people. We need to find new spaces to meet and organize as a community since our public institutions, such as school, are limiting and banning us from their spaces. The students are the present future. It is like blood pumping through our veins, constantly moving. If I know who I am, and I know who my students are, and I know what all of my heroes and all of my ancestors had to go through, how can I not do this? So that keeps me going to help support our communities and carry the message forward. As a teaching artist who works in New York City schools, as a white teaching artist who works in New York City schools, there is nothing about any of the educational curriculum that is coming for white people. I'm not coming for you, white people. There are people learning about a more holistic version of our history. But if we can really look at our history in the eye and learn from those mistakes and figure out what we're going to do to make a more equitable and just, diverse, inclusive world where you get to live too. The stupid motherfuckers. I don't know how you can not value diversity. I don't know how that is even a concept that needs to be explained. Like, I don't know how you don't value all of God's children. But you don't. Not you, person who's watching. I guess I'm just having a little bit of a rant against what I perceive as the funding cuts to the Department of Education and slowly trying to kill public education. And that it is a larger, massive project to take us back to a time when before we had the civil rights that we have. And it's even hard for me to convince some of my male friends, like, women still don't earn equal. We don't have parity, like, in a lot of different professions. Like, we don't earn equal pay. In professions that tend to be more female-oriented, artist, mother, educator, we get paid so much less, right? Like, it's actually really hard to build wealth if you work in some of those fields. I'm losing my train of thought. What is required is the capacity to listen, to seek understanding from others, to let our defenses down so that we can hear, so that we don't hear what we think we already know, but we hear what someone is genuinely trying to tell us. And as an educator, as an artist, as a mother, I am telling you that we should all rise up and support public education. There's a lot of trash fire, crazy things going on that we should support, but this one should be, there should be no questions. It shouldn't be a liberal conservative issue. Like it shouldn't be a red-blue issue. Last thing, maybe I'll just read more of this next time, but Indivisible is an organization that is doing a lot of good work on a lot of different issues. If you go to Indivisible, INDIVISIBLE.org, you can join for free. You can read up on different policies that they support. You can join in local actions. You can do things from your home. You can donate money. If you're feeling overwhelmed and like you care and you want to do something, first join that education. They actually suggest that you send an email right now and demand that your members of Congress oppose any legislation that helps Trump weaken or abolish the Department of Education. Republicans need the most pressure right now, but it's also important for Democrats in Congress to know that their constituents want them to fight. So send a message. If you go to Indivisible, they can actually help you find your representatives. If you don't know them, they can also offer you more information so you can be informed about what it is that you want to and believe in sharing. And you can call. You can call and leave messages. Make sure that you include your zip code. Let them know if you're their constituents, and tell them why you care. The more personal, the more individual, the more powerful. If you care about all of our children, if you care about our country, if you care about equity, justice, fairness, civil rights, if you believe that you would not have been an enslaver, if you believe that you would not have been one of the Nazis who would have allowed people, or people who stood by and said nothing as people were being slaughtered in the Holocaust, if you believe that you would not have been one of the angry people yelling at students who were trying to integrate schools, or white people out on a lawn celebrating with picnics as Black people were being hung by trees in this country with vigilante justice, if you believe that you would have been one of the good people, now is that time. So drop me a line. You need help. You want me to share some information with you. I am so happy to do that. Hello to the one person that showed up. This is the Hot Angry Mom channel. This is my live feed. Oh, I scared them. They went away. You're welcome to watch the whole video later. All right, I'm gonna sign off now. Wow, that was a lot. I had a lot to say. I hope it made some sense, and thanks for watching. How do I stop this again?